Have you ever wondered what public policy really means and how it shapes the world around you? Welcome to Primus Cut,
a series where we cut through the clutter
to unpack policies transforming the way we live,
work and govern.
Each episode, we bring you insights from our in-house experts and thought leaders to understand
what's changing, why it matters,
and what it means for you.
Let's begin. Welcome to another episode of Primus Cut. Today, we have with us Charu Malhotra, co-founder and managing director of Primus Partners.
Charu is an educationist and an L&D expert with over 20 years of experience in public education, policy, and CSR. Previously, she was working with state governments and was part of various government committees working on early childhood education, PPPs in education, and gender inclusivity. Presently at Primus Partners, she heads the impact realization sector. Thank you so much, Charu, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Do I need to be nervous with the two of
No,
you?
no.
Hopefully you don't have to be. I think we have to be more nervous.
Yeah,
we have to
for
be more
sure.
nervous. So Charu, when we look at the entire Primus Cut, the vision behind this series, we have a lot of policy enthusiasts who ask a lot of questions and who have a lot of questions when it comes to public policy and consulting.
True.
When I joined Primus, I remember you asked me a very important question. You asked me, am I ready for a client-facing role? And I took that leap, not knowing what it was. And and I had a lot of learnings to do when I did that project. Help us understand what a PMU or a client-facing role actually means when it comes to consulting and public policy.
So PMU, or a project management unit, or a technical support unit, or a strategic advisory unit, the various phases of client-facing role for consultants is many things rolled into one. And it's changed. I think from just simply, of course, listening, understanding your client, knowing what the problem is, or knowing where the solutions lie is a very important thing. A very important aspect is to listen. Yeah. And many of us, when we want to communicate that we know, that we understand what we are, that we understand you, we are in a hurry to speak. We are in a hurry to share. But I think a very important part of that communication, or any very important part of a support role, especially in large scale transformation projects, is to listen very carefully. Many times, and I'm sure we know, we make more mistakes when we speak rather than we are silent.
Yeah.
But when we are silent and we are observing and we are listening, we pick up cues, we pick up the direction, what the client wants. So the very important part is to understand the context, the subject, the program, and accordingly, be prepared with our own advisory, with our research, with our evidence-based strategies. And it's important to understand data. It's also important to not just take data on its face value, but triangulate it and understand the larger context within which that data works, right? So an important aspect of PMUs is to devise, deploy, I think, two kind of approaches. One is a very scientific inquiry kind of approach. Observe, investigate, verify, and analyze, and then come up with a solution or a prognosis. And the other is to employ an empathetic approach, right? To understand who is the person, who's the beneficiary, who is the program being designed for? Is it reaching, or is it going to reach a real person in a real world context? And approaching this from a PMU perspective. So yes, a client-facing role has to be very humanistic. It has to be intelligent. You have to be many things all rolled into one. You have to be an economist. You have to not just be a theorist, but you have to be a data enthusiast. You need to understand your own discipline. You need to understand the best factors, the political, the economic, the social, the technology developments. And then,
apply it.
And then apply it. And therefore, yes, thank you, Sakshi. Application. Solution oriented, which is also a DNA of Primus.
One thing I just realized is Charu actually took my interview as well when I was interviewing for Primus, and I remember that interview being, because I was so nervous, because just before that I had an interview with Nilay, and Nilay was just on with his questions like a rapid fire, and with Charu she was like, so tell me, where's your family from, what do you do, what's your interest in, and I was
Making it
like,
cool and calm, right?
I was so
So I'm
excited.
cool and Nilay is not.
I
See,
didn't,
that's getting recorded.
But Charu, on that note, I mean, you and the Primus leadership have started the Triple E practice in Primus, which is education, employability, and entrepreneurship. And we have not only sort of echoed this thought at the central government level, but we have also tried to imbibe it in various state governments like Haryana, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. We recently also onboarded Garma Bapar as the ED for this practice, and to sort of scale it at a global level. But so what sort of intrigues me most is that when we think of education, we think of it in a normative bundling of education plus skilling. But what we have done is gone like a step beyond to say entrepreneurship also. So what was the thought process of like combining these three, and what does it really mean in practice and application?
So so education, which we understand,
Correct.
from preschool to school to,
Yeah.
K-12, and then tertiary, which
Yeah.
is your college and higher education. Employability,
Yes.
the whole skilling ecosystem. There is a separate ministry in our country looking at, and programs and budgets that are going into it. That's easy. And then entrepreneurship, the entire startup ecosystem that's happening. Today, we are all concerned about what are the social indicators for development.
Correct.
Right? And we see these, so creating human capital
Yes.
is one of the is an important development accelerator, along with creating infrastructure,
Correct.
creating, bringing in capital or technologies or digital technologies. Human capital is a very centric part of this whole story. And what forms human capital is this whole Triple E kind of continuum.
Okay.
So education and skilling, as you said,
Yes.
is interlinked. So also entrepreneurship. Why entrepreneurship? Once you cross, when did you guys decide your own career path?
Very late.
When? Which part? I mean, at what do you remember? At what part of your school?
I think 10th, because after 10th you have to decide between PCM, PCMB.
Exactly. So while you're choosing your disciplines and your subjects, you're deciding and choosing your own career path, right?
True.
And at that point, did you consciously think, am I going to be self-employed or will I get a job? Think back.
I was just hoping to pass 10th.
Okay, fair enough. But at whatever point...
But I was very confused, to be honest.
Yeah,
I was very confused. I did not know what was I going to do.
Okay. So there are two natural options today. Okay. And many people change. It's not as if... So, I mean, we know many who have gone into engineering, hop off and go into the social impact space. We know people who have been doctors, right? And they leave their, their medicine practice and they do some other things. So there is this whole hop on, hop off. And in fact, it actually ties in with what today at the government level we are also trying to do is multiple entry, multiple exit, right? But coming back to when we are making our choices for career, there are two broad choices. Am I going to be self-employed? And I'm going to get a job. Okay. Seeking a job is far easier because there are people there who are going to give you a job. Okay. How you go and prepare for it, get it is another story. But how many people decide I'm going to, with clarity, how many people know at, let's say, grade 11 or 12, I want to be self-employed, apart from those in business families, right? So entrepreneurship, as trying to, when we said this, we strung the 3 E's together, that if young people have to decide and to be an entrepreneur, they need to, and it's not just, it shouldn't be by accident or by chance. Sure. It should be by plan, design, and preparation. So we have created entrepreneurship program, that is Primus. It's called the Finesse Framework. How can we seed such programs with a proper curriculum, with a roadmap at school level? Right? And you mentioned Rajasthan. Yes, we are doing programs there. Startup, for startup at school.
Correct.
And where students are actually exposed to this whole journey of being an entrepreneur, engaging with entrepreneurs, engaging with your unicorns and competitors and certain exemplars in their field. And how do we get them inspired or motivate them with the right skills?
Of course,
There are a lot of skills, for example, whether it is investment planning, attracting investments, wealth management. So while we all learn math and compound interest, simple interest, and profit and loss, but how does this actually play out in the real world of wealth creation and wealth management? Okay, so entrepreneurship in that sense was after education. If we look at employability, and therefore employability and skilling and is one part of it, and entrepreneurship is the other alternate road that students can take. So we brought this all together in one 3E continuum, and it sounds nice.
I wish I had that actually. Growing up, when I look back now, like I wish I had that clarity or the access, to actually put what I have learned, and somebody telling me, okay, this is how you can apply it to your career path.
Right.
And something that Primus is extremely doing well in this. And
for sure,
in fact, we want to actually talk about the entire startup part of it as well. We often see you talk with so much of enthusiasm. You give us examples of young people who are doing extremely well, solving issues. We have in fact had a TL, a thought leadership also, where we have spoken about entrepreneurship and startups in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? A lot of investors are actually going into those areas, those places. Is there any particular startup or an idea that you felt like, okay, this is an amazing idea and an amazing issue that an idea which is solving that issue?
So I think my awe springs from various factors. One, of course, because there was this program for startups, for school startups. It allowed visibility and discoverability of young people who are doing work in this. So there is so guess what would be the youngest startup we are working with or have helped kind of mentor and grow? What would be the age? It's a girl. Yeah, she's an 11-year-old girl.
Oh, wow.
Right, and she's homeschooled, and she has a startup, and a startup which many of us may not even think of. But I think it inspired her. So she has a product for people who are visually impaired, right? And somebody so young, thinking at that age and going around and creating an enterprise as well as a solution for something. So I think the moot point here is startups actually emerge from a real world issue.
True.
Right? And it may not be a universal problem. It may be a problem that just some people face. And somebody has a brilliant idea that why don't I make a business enterprise of it? And while there are several startups, and I mean, there are so many brilliant ideas that, it would just take another podcast completely by itself. And we should actually, we should get some of these startups on this podcast with all of us and, have a discussion with them.
And the factor that, small kid, an 11-year-old kid can take that risk.
Yes. And so matter of fact, that she didn't really feel as if, she was doing anything out of the ordinary. But when we look at her from the outside, it just inspires awe.
Yeah, it does.
And in fact, if I think I'll just, the last 3 part, let me also add the whole employability space in terms of skilling. We think of skilling once if someone leaves school or is about to, graduate out of school, which is K-12, and then let's provide them with those skills. So what we looked at, and it's something which is not very, widespread as a practice, are frontier technologies, emerging technologies, and a curriculum in that, which is an employable skill. So empower young people tomorrow to plan to become not just consumers, but creators of technology. And of course, AI is the hero of this pack. So Primus has developed, as you know, this whole curriculum for grades 6 to 12 on 12 emerging technologies, and the star is always AI. But we've also created stars of IoT, cyber security, data, metaverse, AR, VR. And that is again an area where Primus is coming out and, putting out a solution, has created a solution with complete real world projects, assessments, and a curriculum of these emerging tech for grade 6 to 12. And that's where, that is the new age, the future skill, the future, let's say future skills, so to say.
Yeah. I remember, so in my school, I remember in 6th and 7th standard, we had a robotics course. And I remember it so vividly because what also having application in these technologies also helps you understand other subjects better.
Absolutely.
So for me, when, we were talking about LED sensors or when we were talking about, say, sound sensors, it helped me connect with physics better.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important for kids because we often just read theory and then we are supposed to like mug it up and say, okay. But having application to those things really puts, like, it gives you like a better grasp.
And
on the
Sakshi, you
concepts.
actually mentioned this, so in fact, interconnectedness of
Yeah,
subjects, of
yeah,
disciplines,
for sure, yeah.
right? So interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
So this is it's a continuous world, and all disciplines impact the other. But we look at subjects in silos.
Yeah.
You know?
We do.
So imagine being an IoT or being a technology major,
Yeah.
and or studying the brain anatomy,
Yeah.
and studying poetry at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So coming back on the TL, I know we put Nilay also on the hot seat for this, but do you have a favorite TL from like the one from Primus that you absolutely adore?
Well, my other teams are not going to like me for it.
No, we have to put you in the spot.
Yeah. Okay.
India Square is India at 47 is out.
Yeah, that ma'am is not anyway. It's not going to like. You can say any one of your TLs as well.
Well, I like the creative economy TL.
Yeah, great.
You know,
also like
you like it. Yes, you have no option sitting in front of me but to say that.
We have actually gone through that entire TL. That one and the one on OTTs.
And OTT, yeah. And in fact, both of them are actually now we're talking about the orange economy.
Yeah.
And this is where entrepreneurs come a lot in, because a lot of the work there is freelance.
Yes.
Is a lot of it is entrepreneur.
Right.
And with this whole orange economy, and therefore the thought leadership reports you mentioned, one on the OTT and the other on the creative economy. And this is also going to provide very inclusive paths for people.
For sure.
Because today you have, YouTubers, you have content creators in rural India, in different languages, and they are out there creating content and with very interesting tools.
Yeah. So one thing that we wanted to ask you about the creative economy TL is when we read that, one thing I think the TL does very well is that it speaks very, it echoes a thought that we all feel, which is that our exam-based curriculum, often discourages creativity or risk-taking in students. Yes. And now we are seeing an increasing push, like you said, from the government as well, to have future-ready skills or be not just, adapters of technologies, but creators of technology. So what I wanted to ask is if India has to sort of, move to a competency-based learning curricula, where do you think are the most significant gaps? And, where do we think that we need like a really hard thrust in the sector? Like,
Ready to listen?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so I think when we talk of competency-based learning, the gaps are in comprehension. Okay? So you two did a lot of rote learning in school?
I don't remember.
So let me, so comprehension, original thinking. How much of you do copy paste? I mean,
now I think we do a lot more copy paste. I think in school we had those essays and letter writing. And
where you could push your
where you created an essay and you went and applied it in whatever the question was, write about, you learned about one personality and push that personality
favorite season is summer, and why is it
right? So if you had to talk anything about the cow, write an essay on the cow, you would do it, whatever the question came, you kind of templatized your responses, which is forgivable because there's a large mass to get in when you're cracking an exam. But one gap definitely is in original thinking, right? In questioning, right? So I know Sakshi and Mayur, you both will question, but how many people would actually question authority by asking a question, right? So of course, because India, the kind of culture, the land, the country has, we wouldn't question authority. We wouldn't question our elder people, right? And it could be out of sheer respect, which is fine. But in terms of us, our classrooms do not encourage largely. I'm not talking about probably one or two or couple of schools you all went to or we went to, but questioning the teacher, right? But for that, the student also has to be able to think your own cognitive processes. So we are not encouraging, and I'm generalizing, and apologies for that. But so inquiry-based learning, questioning, curiosity. Our young are not curious, right? So today, I mean, we go very simply to a chat GPT. How many actually look at what is the process the chat GPT would have followed, right? What are the data sets that particular platform, chat GPT would have employed? What are the connections, connecting the dots? So connecting the dots, higher order thinking skills are competency-based learning. We are not even there. So therefore, assessments, the way we design our assessments, what are we, what was it, what is the classroom transaction or curriculum transaction all about? And how are we assessing that? So assessments fail because the kind of questions we ask, right? So a lot of it has to be, and what is it that our students need to know, right? So it's a large mass of knowledge, large body of knowledge, and we have 12 months to complete a grade. So what is it at that grade appropriate understanding students must have? So how are we designing a curriculum? How are we imparting it? The whole syllabi, how are we transacting it? And the way we are assessing it. And the real world, is it real world understanding for a real world? I think this is a particular gap that we need to look at. But as Primus has developed a complete rubric with a complete toolkit for a competency-based learning, I think we're very confident that we can make that change, and we can make it very quickly.
I mean, just to take that cue of AI, definitely specifically right now, because there's a lot of incorporation of AI when it comes to our work as well. Work has changed, right? And I've actually started doing this trick that, so that my entire imagination does not get flawed. So I start now writing more of my own without using AI.
So I think that's wonderful, Mayuri. In fact, if we all write, regardless of age, if everybody writes a piece every second day or third day with our own point of view, just rationalizing, simplifying and there's so much happening. If we all start creating a point of view, whether it's work related, whether it's our personal environment related, I think a lot of our cobwebs will also get sorted.
For sure. Yeah.
But what does AI, a lot of people are talking about AI in education, right? Like, globally as well. What does that mean to you? Like, where is AI taking education and technologies taking education? Because we have incorporated a technology tool called Vidya Setu, right? Which is getting a lot of, which is getting CSR funds, which is getting industry, government students,
all stakeholders
together. And then you are actually taking, curating a path for the future for students. If you incorporate technology and AI tools like that, where does education stand?
So I think first of all, Vidya Setu, as you said, so Setu is a bridge, right? And what are we bridging? We are bridging, and what is Vidya Setu? So Vidya Setu is a marketplace, is a bridge for those who need, let's say, support, financial support. It could be through CSR, it could be through philanthropy or any impact investment. For those students who need financial funding to go on to higher education. Right? At least this particular Vidya Setu. So education, it's a bridge. Vidya is knowledge, wisdom, education, let's simplify it. And the Setu is a bridge. So at one end of this bridge are those who need this funding, and the other end of the bridge are those who have the money or the funding to be spent on social programs like this, impact funds like this, right? Impact programs like this. So AI, so it's all about visibility. It's about discoverability. It's a little problematic when things are invisible. We don't know who the person is. We don't know who the provider is. But if we actually make things visible, make people visible, it's about that. In terms of even AI in education, in terms of learning outcomes, and of course it will mean that we need to generate more data for those engines to get that much more robust in terms of predicting. But generating, for example, computer-based tests, designing the test correctly. But it's not just having a test. How are the tests designed? What are the test scores looking like? Where is the remediation needed? Where are the students, more what are their affinity towards which subject, towards what discipline, the kind of work they want to do, right? And what are the scores telling us?
Yeah.
So I think AI can support in the visibility of a lot of, in terms of, how practitioners, whether it's teachers, educators,
Yeah.
or even students and parents themselves, where they want to take their cohorts to,
Yeah.
and what is needed to plug that gap. So there are a lot of personalized adaptive learning, assessment tools that are there, which enable students to learn,
Yeah.
and enables teachers to support their students.
Correct. So now, just to shift the gears a little bit.
I want to make it a little light.
Yeah. But
So this was heavy.
This is heavy.
but I think one thing that Primus has long advocated for is gender inclusivity. And you yourself are a board member. You have previously served as the CHRO of the organization. And Primus has, advocated for gender inclusivity, not just at the workplace, but also in the policy field. So, for you, what does gender inclusivity in policy mean? And how has your experience at Primus been?
So, okay, number.
Yeah.
So number of girls doing something and females doing something and males doing something, right?
Yeah.
Apart from that, what are they doing? Okay, let's analyze this room.
Hmm.
3 of us on this side
Yeah.
are all girls and
Yeah.
women. And the crew on that, okay, our unseen crew, they're all men.
True.
Okay, and a big shout out to you guys too. But inclusivity is when you actually, of course, today, because we are very conscious and we have to go and promote that inclusivity. So it's not in just the kind of voices, by the way, we are speaking and they are silent, so that's fine, right? So it's how are those voices being, are they getting, first of all, an avenue to be even heard,
Yeah.
right? Who does these voices belong to?
Yeah.
Okay, at what age in life? Right? It could even be elderly. In fact, we've come out with our thought leadership report on the elderly.
Yeah.
And elderly women, and especially those who are widows. And they are facing challenges, hidden, invisible. So how...
There's a lot of social constructs also that...
Yes, there are social constructs, right? But I think let's start with the kind of disciplines women may choose. In fact, yesterday we were at a round table.
Yeah.
And we were talking about inclusive, inclusive occupations.
Yeah.
And we had somebody he's an engineer and in construction.
Oh, wow.
And if you see, and this is an example, it's just very fresh in my mind, because it says the roads that are laid. See the number of women who are actually involved in laying those roads.
Yeah.
So while there are women at a particular level, involved in a particular activity which are considered a man's domain, and so construction, engineers, civil is more a man's domain. But yes, you have women. I have worked in some projects where we were looking at infrastructure for schools. I had a female engineer in my team, right? So while there are women who are working in civil, but there are certain, women. I think it's a matter. It's a matter of it's economics.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was again pointed out by somebody that when we go higher, at least you are more comfortable. Your basic needs are taken care of. You're a particular stature.
Yeah.
You come from a certain background. You may not want to do a certain set of tasks.
Yeah.
So I think those kind of, and it's yes, it's got to do with social constructs, but it is also got to do with self-image.
Yeah.
So inclusivity will be that when we are not just looking at the numbers of women involved, in the workforce, in the kind of things they do, but they should also have the freedom to choose. If a woman decides or chooses, I want to be at home, work from home, homemaker, let's not also set out a judgment for that.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So I think inclusivity is when we are giving them, equipping them to be
able to make that choice.
able to make that choice. And I think it turned out to be a lot heavier.
I think Primus has been a voice when it comes to having one of the really interesting conversations around gender.
Sure.
Although
You people don't give anybody a choice also.
But all the events that we've had, the thought leaderships that we've come up with, and a lot interesting. And not just like when it comes to policy, even in workplace.
Yeah.
When we talk about inclusivity, we also have to cater, and we also catering to paternity leaves, maternity leaves, adoption related leaves, right? Which is quite very interesting, and I don't think like you find that.
Are we making paternity leaves optional or mandatory? Like, for example, we have a rule or we have a policy around maternity leaves. It's also there's a we have to also be compliant. And yes, and we also want to do it. It's not just compliance. In fact, and I think how many Primus babies have been born in the last
so many.
And we have new mothers. We are having around 8-9 mothers in the last 1 year, and they all have gone for their maternity leave.
Yes.
Alternatively, there are also new fathers in Primus. How many of them have they gone? I mean, how many of the new fathers have gone for paternity leave? So it's also a personal choice. But it's interesting how fathers may not opt, and I don't want to create any, friction here at home or conflict at home, but how many fathers may not want to
opt for paternity
leave and remain at home. But there are so many other considerations. There is, there are work issues, there are a lot of.
But that brings us back to our last segment, and so we, like being the true certified Gen Zs that we are, we thought we'll do a little rapid fire with you. So I think the first question is, if you had a magic wand and you were allowed to change one thing about India's education system, what would it be?
Tough question. I would definitely, would want to see that whole rote learn. I would want more students talking in class. Having discussions amongst each other in class, right? Talking more and listening less, right? Or maybe just a balance of speaking and listening, right? So I think that is one change. Our classrooms are, if you just walk down any school, it sells and bells, as I would call it, right? A row of desks and chairs and the teacher in the front, we can't help it. That's a structural challenge and a structural necessity. But many of them are just downloading what the teachers are either presenting on their screens, right? Or that they may have tuned off. So I think people are engaged when they are interacting and speaking. So I think that's one thing I would love to see change in our classrooms.
For sure. Now, one woman who inspires you and why?
So I wouldn't call it one, but I would call it a collective.
Okay.
You guys.
Oh, yay!
The Gen Zs. Okay.
Why?
And all of you. I mean, you two are, of course, sitting here with me and really enjoying this discussion. Why? Because you're not afraid. I'm happy to see, and specifically this group in Primus, but even engaging with your cohort, your counterparts outside of Primus, whether it's in my social or professional, environment, because you're not disrupting. Okay. You party hard. Right? Yeah, that came very quick. You take that very seriously, but you work hard. Right? Many times you become lazy. Okay. But
that also I do a loud one.
Right? But I think all of you, you're my hope for the future and for the present. And in you, I see a lot from my generation and before, people who may have missed out, So, and all the best for that. But you guys are my heroines.
Woohoo! Nice. Positive affirmations for the day, I think.
Our day started off.
Yeah, for sure.
This is not appraisal.
Oh, shit. But so bringing to the next question, what is that one hobby that really energizes you outside of work? Now we know that you're an excellent baker.
Yes.
You also travel a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you are particularly fond of art as well.
Astrology.
Yes.
So
yes. So in fact, you have named except one thing. I think you've named everything except one. So yes, I love cooking and I'm a great cook.
Yeah.
And I love to feed people. So for me, it's kitchen science.
Yeah.
It's flavors, it's equipment, it's methodologies, it's ingredients, and then of course it's a full feast.
And your red velvet cake.
Yeah.
The red velvet cake.
Oh my god. I remember you hosted us for dinner one time and she baked this like chocolate and cherries cake and I took like 2 dabbas full home because it was so good.
No, you only took dabbas because you couldn't eat any more.
That is also true.
So yes, so I think that is one. Second is yes, astrology is my I can be a full-time astrologer, provided I get time. The third area, and of course travel and writing. I love writing.
Yeah.
And another area for me is, since I love working with hands, is knitting. You may not know about that. Yes. So, and all of it is not just magical and therapeutic, because one is creating from really nothing, or from but from raw material. But it just transcends you when you create something, and then, which is why you guys are favorites of your mothers.
Probably, yeah. And lastly, for young aspiring people who are looking to enter the public policy space, what is one advice that you would like to give to them?
So, don't look at things in silo.
Yeah.
Look at it as an interconnected world and interconnected energies. So, work with teams.
Yeah.
Look at the various factors that are shaping the world today. It could be, geopolitical, it could be economic, it could be technical. But feel from your heart, right? And have that amount of empathy. And another thing, make one thing, one subject where you can say, this is where I would want to, excel at, want to learn more. So get into it, length, breadth, depth of that one stream, and you can be known for that at least one, if not more. And always see the work that you're doing is actually reaching somebody, so it's a real change that you're aspiring.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
the impact.
Yeah,
I think we had a really wonderful conversation, as always, Charu.
Thank you, Mayuri, and thank you,
great to talk to you. And thank you so much.
I was nervous to begin with when I came here.
I wasn't
prepared.
You were good.
Yeah, you were amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
The unseen, the quiet crew behind us.
Yeah.
Thank you.